Hey! Welcome back to another video. I ain't gonna lie, this little hand thing I got, I stole. Stole from Alpha Male Strategy. I like when he did it. He'd be like, what's up, fellas? Anyways, but what's up, y'all? Back with another video. Today we're gonna react to Jesse Lee Peterson leaves guest speechless and about Black America. I ain't posted no videos in a little while because I had to go get something done to the computer because it was acting weird. But I'm back. I'm back. Y'all see the fresh retweets? Loving it. I'm loving my hair right now, y'all. I'm feeling good in life. I'm doing good. All right, let's go. No time to waste. Boom, boom.
What have they done to make America better? To add to it to make it better? Can you name me one thing?
Well, we built a lot.
What?
We built a lot of stuff.
I'm talking about in the last 70 years.
Oh, in the last 70 years?
Not,
That's
yeah,
a good
since
question.
the 70 right?
Yeah.
Since the civil rights movement.
Like a leader. What leader?
What has the blacks have done to make America better?
Generally speaking.
Yeah. Can you name me one thing? The blacks are getting worse. This generation is worse than the last generation and the last generation.
Do you think so?
Yeah. They're killing each other. They're
But do you
robbing
think it's in the same numbers? Because
What?
I think you're right. I think where it's worse, like in the bad parts, it's worse.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed about conservatives? Okay. You know what I noticed about certain conservatives, right? Specifically Jesse. You know how Jesse can get people. 9 times out of 10, people are not educated on anything that happens, and they're just reacting to how they feel about something. And when you're doing that and you don't have an extensive knowledge on a topic, a question like that would shake you. You would know, like, okay, within the past 70 years, all the inventions that have actually came from black people, the laws that were passed by Barack Obama, which was a black administration, quote unquote, right? But or the many politicians that have stepped in office, or even the civil rights leaders that have done things to make it harder for cops to be more complicated on people. The massive amount of laws and bills passed specifically for and by black people, or pushed by black people in order to prevent complications with redlining and prison reform and things like that. There are so many things. Prison reform, not even for blacks, just for whites. So many things that blacks have done. And it's interesting when you don't have the knowledge on it, then that's when it's like, you know, you can kind of make somebody look stupid with it. But yeah, like conservatives seem to do that a lot. They bring a lot of people on that really don't know what they're talking about, or people that only agree with what they're talking about. And I wonder why they do that. Like, a lot of conservatives don't go debate Destiny. They don't come to debate me either. You know, like, it's interesting. Like, they'll debate Destiny. They don't go debate Van Lathan. They don't. They may debate Charlemagne the God, like Larry Elder came on there and debated Charlemagne the God, but Charlemagne the God was not familiar with these topics either. Larry knew what he was doing, but when Larry Elder went to Van Lathan, he looked stupid. So, yeah. I just find that interesting, you know.
But
it's a smart strategy to get people to come into what you're doing.
Mobile black Americans these days than ever before.
What's that?
The black middle class is expanding. So where that used to be pretty limited, it's growing. We're not at parity with our peers, like our Asian or our white peers, but there's more of that. There's more of I should say us. I would be one of them, middle class, but there's
They
more.
won't accept you. They're not going to accept you. You got too much white in you.
Oh, no.
What was it like?
No. You're wrong. See, I'm as black as the first black president, so
none
of that matters anymore.
But let me ask, growing up as a white girl, black girl, was that difficult for you?
Yeah, I think times were way different then, right? These days, it feels like not that strange to see a biracial kid running around.
Yeah, it's different now.
Right, but when my parents were married, it was the 70s.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, there was one time where my parents were separated at the border because my mother was this blonde white Canadian woman, and my father, and he was also a musician too. He had dreadlocks, bare feet, just the stereotypical dirty hippie. And they separated them, and when they had to separate, they had to leave each other at the border. And growing up in rural...
From Canada to America, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And growing up in rural Canada, it was very difficult. There's a lot of racial abuse. There's a high black population in Canada.
Interesting. I'm going to say this real quick. Mama Bear talked about this. She was saying how basically that there's like an extensive racist problem in Canada, and I ain't gonna lie, that did shock me to learn that, because it's I think Canada is more multicultural than America. Like, it's more multicultural than America, so to have the same kind of problem is just extremely strange. But I want to go into this, right? I think the biracial conversation is the conversation that's going to help, right? In Chancellor Williams' book, Destruction of a Black Civilization, when he talks about the mulatto problem, I don't know if you noticed this, but notice when he asked her the question, what have the blacks done better, she didn't have an answer. I think the reason she didn't have an answer is because, in a sense, she is a mulatto. Now, this is what you get when you get mixed people, right? No disrespect to anybody who is this, but this is what you get when you get mixed people. You either get a mixed person who is pro-black and will fight you on everything like Malcolm X, or you get a mixed person like her who's kind of like in the middle. She doesn't know most of the stuff. She's black, but at the same time, she's kind of not fully, not fully like, I don't want to say radicalized, but not fully like, not fully behind pushing the black movement, basically. I'll just say it like that. But anyways, I think the mixed breed can be the help to like all of us, because when you hear that person talk, they're experiencing both sides not accepting them. They're experiencing black not accepting them and white not accepting them. And the person who's mixed 9 times out of 10, or even thought to be mixed, like myself, I was thought to be mixed a lot of times in life. The person who's even thought to be mixed is so unaccepted amongst the crowd, or accepted a little too much amongst the crowd, that you kind of see both. So you can, that's where like the mixed breed will argue that black people can be racist a lot of times, because they see it. They see how black people treat them, even though they mistake it for colorism, quote unquote. But like, it's still like they see how black people treat them as well as they see how white people treat them. And you're not accepted amongst most. So you kind of just learn how to talk and move amongst everybody. And it's like, it's that triple code, I think, like W.B. Du Bois talked about the double consciousness. I think that's the triple consciousness. Let's go.
Because that's where the Underground Railroad came out. Yeah. So we're very aware of that history, but I lived in a farming community. It was pretty brutal. And then when I would go to Washington, D.C. and be with my peers there, then I was not black enough, that would be, well, you sound strange, you don't look the same. So yeah, I guess it was difficult, but I think in the end it was... I have a very solid sense of identity these days.
Was forced integration good or bad?
Forced integration, like in the 60s, like in the civil, right?
When they start making them
bad.
White
anything
people
forced.
Bad.
Together.
Bad. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Great. This is a perfect transition because we were just talking about my childhood experience.
Right.
All right. So when I was 13, I went to middle school in Washington, D.C. Stewart Hobson Middle School on Capitol Hill. It's right behind the Heritage Foundation, right? It's still there to this day. We lived right across the street. Well, Stewart Hobson Middle School was part of a group of schools on Capitol Hill called the Capitol Hill Cluster. And there was an experimental cluster of public schools because Washington, D.C. at that time, and still is known as the Chocolate City, is mostly black, mostly poor population. Somebody got the big idea that, well, if we just shipped in white, rich kids, then we could integrate the schools. The schools would get better if we bust in white kids
Alabama too.
From the suburbs. So they asked for a lot of volunteers. Some white parents stepped up. We began, the year I started school there was the year we began the busing program, and it was an absolute failure. The white kids in our schools were brutalized.
Yeah.
I often wonder where those kids ended up. I mean brutalized, where some kids were sent to the hospital because gangs would come into the school and pick them out and beat them up. And I will never forget, 13 years old, this is burned in my brain.
The work that I do now is...
In all reality, that's wrong. Everything she's saying right now is wrong.
The reason I was at a community forum, the school was right across from my house, so maybe I was bored and I went there. Lucy, I think her last name was Campbell, Lucy Campbell's mom came in, and Lucy was the student council president, this little white girl that they had bussed in, and her mom was some hippie who was really proud to be a part of this busing program, and she came in and she said, I feel like a hypocrite and a bigot. But how can I send my child to this school anymore? She's being brutalized every day. I signed on for this program thinking I was doing something good, doing the right thing. And it's been nothing but heartache and abuse. I'll never forget that. So no, forced integration is a mistake, because it's always a mistake, I believe, to work against the tribal instincts of people. Now, this is the glory of Christ, right? This is the beauty of Christ, is that our tribe is eclectic and diverse because we gather under the flag of a king, not a race. So that's what's amazing about Christianity, is that we so many different cultures can fall under one flag, but when you're talking about earthly tribalism, people can integrate. They do it well when they're able to do it in their own time and in their own way. We do it. Yeah. We do it just fine.
I believe had we never had forced integration, America would be
greater
than what it is
now.
That I actually agree with. I do agree. Okay. The reason why it was forced is because they were. There's two sides to this coin. One of it was black people needed resources, and they couldn't get them in the community they were in. So the resources that they were trying to get was over in white communities. So you had to integrate in order to get the resources that they needed. That backfired. It did. It backfired. But yeah, like, I don't know. I really have nothing to say. I have no objection to that. I do agree. I think that like we should have slowly integrated into each other. That way we understand each other a little better. That's why I was shocked to hear Canada has a race problem. But then again, that like... Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say too much.
Totally agree. As a matter of fact, a great example of that is Las Vegas in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. A lot of people think we legislated our way out of the Civil Rights Movement. We absolutely did not. One of the biggest things that happened was commerce, the economy. So in Vegas, the performers like Ella Fitzgerald and Sammy Davis Jr. couldn't perform on certain stages or couldn't walk in the front door with the Rat Pack like Frank Sinatra. Right. Eventually, guys like Sinatra said, I'm not playing here anymore. If you guys don't clean this up, like, yeah, I want Sammy Davis Jr. to use the pool. You know, I want him to walk in the front door with me because he's a performer. Right. That's when things started to shift. When we paid an economic price for bigotry.
Yeah.
Right?
You mentioned your white friend. When I went to Edison High School in Gary, I had my first white friend. I had never had a white friend before, even though I was fine with white people. But I had a white friend, and they lived right across from Edison High School, right across the street. And because at one time, Edison was black. I mean white, mostly white. And then it turned black. But what happened was I had this white friend, really good guy, and they turned the school when the mayor, this first black mayor became the mayor. And that very next day, the blacks started attacking the white kids in the hallways and the classrooms and things like that. And it got so bad that his family just jumped up and moved. They just left. And I haven't seen him yet. He didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. They just took off, and I don't know what happened to him. But I know that too many white people were getting beat up, white kids, by the blacks. Can you tell me...
That's wrong. That's wrong. I'm not gonna lie. That's wrong. And I believe it. I believe it to a degree. To a degree.
One good thing that has helped America that the black leadership has done, the black politicians, the governors, or anyone as a group, what have they done to make America better?
They brought attention to a problem that existed for generations, because the reason why those kids were getting beat up in high school was because blacks had a mindset that was already put on them prior to everything that had happened. They had thought that whites were the enemy. So they brought attention to a problem that needed attention. So they did.
Add to it to make it better.
It's the biggest thing.
Can you name me one thing?
Well, we built a lot.
What?
We built a lot of stuff.
I'm talking about in the last...
I think about it, y'all. America can never be great until we get rid of racism, sexism, classism, all those things like that, right? We can't get rid of those things. But until we have an understanding that those things do not trump our individuality towards each other. So, like, our nationality to each other. So until we all accept that we're all Americans and every American can come from different walks of life, until we accept that fact, America will never be great. So make America great again is a joke, because it wasn't great before. It wasn't great before in the concept of how are we in the 21st century? We've made it to the moon, and yet you still have Ku Klux Klan uniforms. You still have you still have blacks doing stuff like that to white people. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
70 years.
Oh, in the last 70 years?
No,
That's a
yeah,
good
since the
question.
70 right now.
She doesn't
Since the
know.
civil rights movement.
Like a leader. What leader,
What has the blacks have done to make America better?
generally speaking?
Yeah. Can you name me one thing?
What? I think this is very subjective. My podcast is a critical thinking podcast. I'm always thinking through the arguments when you ask me a question.
Right.
So I'm thinking about what the people would say to me. People would say, well, yeah, they've done plenty of good things. There's more black women in college than ever. There's higher rates of higher education. Maybe we would say, well, we have more black people represented in Congress, more black people represented in whatever, pick your thing. So I feel like the arguments would be that. I guess to that imaginary argument, I might say, well, what was the original premise of the question, which is is it better that schools are full of black educated women? As a black educated woman, I don't think so. I don't think the results have been that stellar.
So you can't think of one
I'm
thing
trying.
that
I'm really like
the
I'm
blacks
thinking
have
about
done.
I'm only thinking about what the arguments. I'm trying to think of what would I say if I was going to point to somebody and say, "Look what we changed." Music.
Music.
Maybe that's hideous. But don't even get me started on that. Don't get me started on, with
Right.
my tinfoil hat stuff and what music's been doing to
So
it.
you're not able to think.
I basically said as much when I said, why are we normal? What are we normalizing?
Okay, yeah, okay. So that conversation was gonna go. It wasn't going anywhere after that. But yeah, okay, I don't know. I don't know, man. She should do a little more on another side of her history to understand what blacks have actually done. You guys can do it in the comments. I know you guys are gonna get mad about everything I'm saying. So being mad about everything I'm saying, fuck you in advance. I'm out.